Hey, what's up, you guys? Eric AFG here, bringing another action figure review to you. If I sound tired, guys, please forgive me. I only got a couple hours sleep, so I'm not like my usual perky self as usual. But this is a very interesting two-pack right here, and I'm very happy to review it. I'm not the biggest Watchmen fan, but I'm kind of becoming a Watchmen fan because of Doomsday Clock. And speaking of Doomsday Clock, yeah, this is Doomsday Clock. So this is the two action figures that's a part of Doomsday Clock, and this is what's kind of getting me into the Watchmen. My only knowledge of the Watchmen is the Zack Snyder film, which was okay. It was a good film. It wasn't bad. It wasn't great either. It had its problems because um, Zack Snyder, but So Doomsday Clock. I really like how they did with the box and packaging. Now, I already recorded a previous video, but it got messed up and my camera cut me off. So I filmed it with these guys in the box and everything. That price on the tag right there, I did not pay that price. I bought this from eBay, but somebody sold it to me for I think like about 30 bucks. So I really kind of lucked out with this figure. So you got DC collectibles at the bottom. I already showed y'all the Doomsday Clock, the Ozymandias up top. You got the 20 years. Doomsday Clock up top of the box. You got the DC collectibles right there, the 20 years. You got the figures on the back. So I could at least show you, even though I can't show you guys with them in the box. So you got Mime, and you got Rorschach, you got Marionette, and you have the Comedian, which I want to get these other two packs as well. I want to. And you got Doomsday Clock there, written by Jeff Johns, Gary Frank. So that's all of that good stuff. Back to the figures. And already having them out of the packaging, these are fantastic looking figures. They really are. There's a lot of problems with these figures, notably with the articulation, which I'm not an articulation nut. I'm displaying them with the yellow background, which actually looks kind of good. At first I thought it was stupid because the way it was sitting in the box, but now having them out displayed with this yellow background, it seems very Watchmen-esque. So I really like that. And the best thing about these figures is the sculpting, the way how they look. But let's get more in detail with these two figures. Let's do that. So Ozymandias up first. The sculpting on him is really good. It's really, really good. The sculpting of his hair. Look at that little ring that he wears on his forehead, his blind eyebrows, the blue in his eyes. He does look a little similar like the DC Essentials Superman. He really does. He has that little eye signal there on this garb. The sculpting on all of this is really fantastic. The cape is a soft pliable plastic, but this is a very heavy upper half here. It's very heavy. Got the sculpting of his belt. All the gold details and highlights here is phenomenal. I really like that. I like it a lot. All the sculpting goes throughout there. His tunic here, all the gold here, everything here is superb. The little rings around his ankles there with his boots, all this is superb. But this figure is a nightmare to stand. Well, both figures are a nightmare to stand, but Ozymandias more than Dr. Manhattan because his upper half here is so huge and it's kind of a nightmare. But he's really a beautifully sculpted figure. He looks really good and he looks really comic accurate because I've been reading a Doomsday Clock, and this is how he looks in the comics, both him and Dr. Manhattan. Speaking of Dr. Manhattan, speaking of the man himself, Dr. Manhattan. So he looks phenomenal. So let's get a little close-up of his face. The sculpting is good. His big blue ball shiny head. I like the face expression that they gave him. It's perfect. That little bullseye target that he put on his own forehead, because yes, he did do that. All the muscle mass, all the definition here is really good, down his fingernails. You see that as he points. I actually like that, the pointing sculpted hand. Usually I complain when they give figures an open hand and a fisted hand, but for Dr. Manhattan, very accurate. I like that. I like the muscle, the definition he got going on here. They're not going to have him be butt ass naked. That's not going to happen. So they gave him this little design here, which works. I like that. It definitely works in the context. And he actually did wear this in the movie. I think he did in the comics too, but I have not yet read the Watchmen comics yet. So this body mold here is nothing new. It's the same body mold that they use for DC Essentials Superman, you know, for Deathstroke, for Batman, for all of them. Yeah, so I'm going to get into the articulation in just a sec, but overall, these figures are beautiful. These figures look superb, and that's the best part about this set. Dr. Manhattan looks fierce. He looks intimidating. He looks exactly how he should look. Ozymandias looks cocky and arrogant as he should look. I know little about the characters, but I'm learning. I'm still going to go back and read the Watchmen comics. One of the best written comics of all time, from what I've heard. Zack Snyder tried to adapt the movie like very close hand from the comic book, which is not a bad thing. Some people criticized him for doing that. But sometimes, especially when it comes to adapting comic books, you do have to do your own take on it. Now, there's some parts in the movie, from what I've heard, that he did do his own, little modifications where he, deterred from the comics. But basically, shot for shot, it was really aesthetically beautiful the way he shot the movie, and the action was phenomenal. That I have to give Zack Snyder. He knows how to make a movie look like, like something you never seen, and his action sequences are phenomenal, but his directing skills are shitty. And that's kind of where the movie kind of fell flat for me. Like, there was some good highlights in the film and the way he directed it with the storyline, but it just kind of fell flat at the same time. But anyway, these two figures are a nightmare to stand because of the weak ankles, and Ozymandias' heavy top half. It's more harder to stand him than it is Dr. Manhattan. So there you go. So let's get into articulation right now. So first up on articulation, we have Dr. Manhattan. His head could look down about that much. His head could look up about that much. It goes side to side. It can go all the way around. It has a little bit of tilt, a little bit of attitude. His shoulders can go out about that much. He does have a full sorry about that. He does have a full rotation. He does have doubly jointed elbows. He does have 360 rotation, and he does have hinge up and down in his wrist. He does have full 360 rotation in his waist. My ab crunch is stuck. I cannot get this thing unstuck unless I heat it up. I just took them straight out of the box, so that's my own fault. But there is an ab crunch here, guys. Make no mistake. He has an upper thigh cut, doubly jointed knees, and he does have full 360 calf rotation, and he has this ball rocking hinge in his ankle where it just rocks all over the place, which is a lot of complaint that people have. Did I say that he could do this split about that much? Yeah. So there you go for Dr. Manhattan. And up next we have Ozymandias. So his head goes to the left and to the right. Well, it goes all the way around. Both figures do. His head doesn't really look up that much, which is weird. And it doesn't really look down that much either, like about that much. It's really weird. His because of all this going on up here, nothing really except in the waist, as you can see, but no crunch none because of this tunic design he got going on here. Doubly jointed elbows, as you can see. His arms can go out. Ooh, pretty good, fair amount. Not bad, not bad, not bad. I mean, I'm not doing my best, but his arm can go out pretty good. I said doubly jointed elbows. full 360 rotation and hinge in his wrist, just like Dr. Manhattan. He can do the splits pretty good as well. He does have an upper thigh cut, doubly jointed knees as well for Mr. Ozymandias here. He does have that full 360 calf rotation. He does have this ball jointed ankle rocker, just like all the other essentials and collectibles line. And that's about it for the articulation for Mr. Ozymandias. So some side-by-side comparisons. You have Ozymandias next to the Alex Ross Lex Luthor. Ozymandias next to the Arkham Knight. Ozymandias next to my custom Bruce Wayne. Ozymandias next to the NECA Christopher Reeve Superman, which he's taller than him. Ozymandias next to Batman, he's taller than him as well. Here we have Dr. Manhattan next to Batman. Dr. Manhattan next to Lex Luthor. Dr. Manhattan next to the Arkham Knight. And enough to give you comic book fans an orgasm. Last but not least, Dr. Manhattan next to Superman, which I wish they would hurry the hell up with this comic book. Jeff Johns is taking a million freaking years to finish it, but from what I'm reading so far, it's really good. So are these figures worth a pickup? I say if you're a Watchmen fan, yes. For a collector fan who's maybe a casual Watchmen fan or who's not a fan at all, I'd probably say pass, because the QC issues with the articulation is just a nightmare, and I'm not even a guy who is all that crazy about articulation, but I'm just being honest with you guys, especially Ozymandias. If y'all pick this 2-pack up, just be forewarned with that with Ozymandias. It's a nightmare to try to get him to stand. Dr. Manhattan is fine. It's a little troublesome to get him to stand too, but the biggest selling point for me is definitely the sculpt work. The sculpt work is phenomenal, and in my book, I say that these guys are worth a pickup based on that alone. The articulation is okay, but it's just hectic and weird, and some of the joints are loose, some of the joints are too tight. It's just a mess all over the place with the articulation, and the paint sometimes can just wear off, because that's just how collectibles, DC Essentials lines are with their paint. You could just, even if you're not posing it around drastically, the paint would just start falling off. So that's the issue too. But besides that, this is a pretty solid 2-pack. I say it is worth a pickup if you're a Watchmen fan. If you're reading Doomsday Clock, you probably definitely will want this. That was my main reason for picking it up. And the Dr. Manhattan really is the selling point for this. I think his sculpt work is really superior as far as I'm concerned to Ozymandias, but Ozymandias' sculpt work is great too. So you can't sleep on his either. So with that being said, like I said, I say it's worth a pickup. I've had it so far for, I guess, about 20 minutes. I pre-recorded another video, but it didn't get to upload, so I had to redo this one. So me messing around with these figures for about 20 minutes, I say it's worth a pickup. The sculpt work, I say, is enough reason to pick these guys up if you're interested. So that's my review of the Doomsday Clock 2-pack, Ozymandias and Dr. Manhattan. Stay tuned, guys, for more videos. Until next time, see ya.